What's going on YouTube? In today's YouTube video, we will be watching the ESCORT MAXcam 360 radar detector. What you see in front of you is actual footage of me driving around. Obviously, this will be a voiceover, but all in all, let's get into it. We're going to be discussing about the radar detector, the cons, the pros, what is a radar detector, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you do plan on purchasing a Escort Passport MAXcam 360, use my Amazon affiliated link. That way I can make commission. So let's get on it. First things first, horrendous as far as the application goes. If you want to pair your phone to your radar detector, it's terrible. When I mean terrible, I'm talking about it's abysmal. Okay? For some reason, the radar detector and the camera, they're both different entities, even though it's the same device. So you got to connect to the radar detector, and in order for you to gain access to the dash cam, you need to connect to that as well, which is really, really weird. Um, yeah, and sometimes it's super glitchy on the app. So Escort, if you're listening to this, fix it because that's a lot of nonsense. Okay. Second thing that's bad about the radar detector is that it records in 1 minute increments. Yes, 1 minute increments. That's weird. At least 5 minutes, right? Okay. All in all, it's good. Um, otherwise, you could buy the Escort Passport Max 360C. You could buy the Escort Passport Max 360C Red Line, and you could pair it with the M1 or the M2 dash cam. You could look into it. All in all, I've had the Escort Max 360 prior to having the MAXcam 360. I've used it for many, many years, and it does actually save you. Let's get into the pros of the MAXcam 360. It's an all-in-one, right? It records 2K 1440p, which is good. There are a lot of dash cams that offer 4K, this, that, and the third. But as a YouTuber, I know for a fact, whenever you deal with high quantity or high quality videos, you need to render it, meaning you need like a third party application, whether it be like Adobe or Final Cut Pro, to like convert that 4K to like a viewable thing. And it takes so much data. And when I mean data, I'm talking about like so much memory. This I said dash cam. This radar detector does come with a 16 gigabyte SD card, which definitely does not suffice. I would recommend getting a 128 gigabyte, but hey, if you're going to be paying 20 something dollars, you might as well pay $10 extra and buy a 256 gigabyte SD card, which I have in my uh, MAXcam 360. Now let's talk about radar detectors. Now you're probably looking at this thing and you're like, why in the world does this cost 800 plus dollars? And why do other radar detectors like this cost well over $500? And I'll explain to you why. Because it tells you where the red light cameras are, where the speed cameras are, and if you're on the highway and there's a cop with their radar gun on, it will warn you, assuming that, the cop is a lazy cop. Let's get into how radar detectors work, and I'm going to get back to lazy cop and try hard cops. So there's two types of cops. There's try hard cops and there are lazy cops. 90% of the time, there are lazy cops. Not to say that cops are lazy, but what they tend to do is when they're on the side of the highway, they'll keep their radar gun on consecutively and they'll consistently, broadcast a KA band. So if you're driving on the road and you're speeding, you know, it'll tell you KA band, and then there's an arrow, and it'll point whether it's in front of you, behind you, or to the side of you. So if you're speeding and you come across a lazy cop, which is 90% of the time, yeah, KA band will show up. It'll show an arrow in front of you, and it'll be one bar. The closer you get, the more bars there'll be, and then that'll give you enough time to slow down. Now, does that mean that you're invincible speeding? No, and I'll get to that as well. Let's just say you come across a try-hard cop. I call these try-hard cops because these cops don't have their radar gun on consecutively, constantly, but they will step out their car and they'll have the radar gun on. And once they assume that you're speeding, because they visually are trained to determine how fast you're going, they will see that you're speeding and they will aim and point and pull the trigger on the radar gun. And that's what's called a pop laser. Now, at that point, if you're speeding and you got a radar detector alone, at that point, if you see pop laser and you're speeding, at that point, your radar detector is essentially telling you that you're caught. That's where radar jammers and radar shifters come into play. So in the same scenario where you come across a try-hard cop and you're speeding and you get popped or lasered, there's a device in the front of the grill and the bumper of the grill and the rear bumper of the grill. So if you get popped or lasered, your radar detector will notify you that you are popped, lasered, and that would pretty much tell you, hey, look, listen, slam on the brakes, because if the cop actually hits the quarter panel or the side of the car, they will get a reading. But as long as they are aiming towards the front of your hood, they won't get a reading. Moving on, just because you have, let's just say, a radar detector and a laser jammer or radar jammer or laser shifter or whatever you want to call it, that still doesn't make you invincible to speeding. Because let's just say you're driving and a cop sees you speeding, but he's well behind you. The cop could very well drive behind you and pace you, and then he could actually write you a ticket like that and say, hey, look, listen, I've been pacing you for X amount of time. You've been doing this speed, and that's how you could actually get a ticket. So, does the radar detector help in most cases? Yes. As I said, I've owned the Escort Passport Max 360, which is the first generation, for many, many years. It has saved me many times. And yes, it is worth it. I do live in New York City, so I don't necessarily use it for speeding purposes, but I do use it for where red light cameras and speed cameras are. In New York City, they have what's called Vision Zero, where everywhere in New York City, there's a speed limit of 25 miles an hour, whereas otherwise posted. And their speed traps are designed to ticket you in the mail like 2 weeks after if you do 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. Okay, that's one. And I'm not a speeder, but it's quite easy to just be able to, go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. Another thing is red light cameras. I don't run red light cameras, but unfortunately in New York City, the red light cameras are designed to ticket you. So where it goes from green, yellow to red, where the red light cameras are, the transition is so spot on and so quick that it's actually designed to give you a ticket. So I used my radar detector to basically come up with a decision to either floor it and gun it or slam on the brakes with red light cameras, because obviously you don't want to, get a ticket. So, depending on the situation. So if I'm coming up on a red light camera and it magically is about to turn yellow, I would gun it, obviously, because if someone's tailgating me, I don't want to get rear-ended. Or if no one's behind me, why risk it? Why gun it? Just slam on the brakes. But yeah, all in all, it's a great device. It is illegal in some states, only a handful of states. I believe in Virginia, they will crucify you That not like not literally, but yeah, it's really bad. I live in New York City. I've never been to Virginia. I don't plan to be in Virginia. But if you do plan on going into some states, yeah, check your local laws. They do have radar detectors that detect if you have a radar detector. But here in New York City, it's completely legal. You can buy a radar detector at Best Buy, Amazon, whatever. You can put into your car, yada, yada, yada. You're good to go. Another con about having a radar detector or the Max 360, it's an expensive device. And if you have it, attached into your car, you know, it's someone could easily break into it and steal it, right? So, yeah, but the pros is everything I mentioned. Another thing about the the MAXcam 360 that I would like to point out is that I have multiple devices. So I have a Galaxy, I have an iPhone, and I have tablets, whether it be an Android tablet or an iPad. And turns out you can only use one phone, and that's the phone that you initially set up your MAXcam. I tried installing the application on my iPhone, but it would not connect. So I guess I'm stuck using my Galaxy for the MaxCam. It'd be nice to alternate, whatever. Another thing that I would like to bring up is that the Escort app that everyone is fond of and familiar of using is no longer for the MaxCam. The app that you would need to use is called Drive Smarter. Um, I'm not sure if it's the application. I'm not sure if it's the the radar detector, the software, the hardware, but it's super glitchy. It's a pain in the ass, excuse my language. And all in all, I must say, is it still worth using? Yes. Um, but if I could talk to the CEO of Escort, I would say rectify the problem with using multiple devices on one radar detector. Because let's just say I drive my car and I let my wife or my girlfriend or my son or my brother or my dad drive my car. They're not going to be able to use my radar detector in a sense of connecting their phone to my radar detector. That's one. Two, basically stop with the 1 minute incremented videos. I literally pulled out the SD card and it's in 1 minute increments. Come on. Three, let's see. Try to figure out how to basically fix the application so that it works flawlessly. It's super glitchy. Literally, it took me like I had to like power off the radar detector and power it back on just for my phone to connect to the dash cam. And even when it did, it crashed. It was a complete nightmare. Anyways, um, but all in all, I honestly think Escort is the best of the best. Obviously, there are different various forms of radar detectors. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of, um, how do I say this? A lot of, you know, radar detector gurus out there that's going to probably comment and put their 2 cents in, talk about, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, it's like this. It's worth it. I'm keeping it. I like it, and that's it. That's it. I hope you liked and enjoyed. It's 15 minutes. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace in the Middle East.